Izolo, on Saturday, actually, there was the caucus, Triple C caucus meetings throughout the country where stakeholders were meeting to discuss the list of candidates that the communities have selected for Triple C. So, yeah, I'm going to be discussing that this morning. If you were attending any caucus meeting, please request the mic. I want to hear from you this morning. What was your take there? What happened in your area? Did your ward or your constituency? What happened there? What were the outcomes? What did the people say? What did the stakeholders say around that Triple C caucus meetings, the candidates? So please do request the mic. We want to hear from you on that.
Oh, yes. I know, Brighton, people are looking to see that is my councillor the one that has been in office? Are they still there or are they leaving? We're rating our councillors over the time. So also the MPs, people are looking to see what's going to happen, really. I've seen their names flying here and there, and, so much is being said. People are talking, and, we are still waiting for the final list, but yeah, we want to hear what happened over this weekend so that maybe we get to understand what's going on and maybe clear the air where there has been misconceptions.
Yeah, I'm seeing a tweet over the weekend where Sylvia Kasukwere has been tipped to run for presidential candidate in Zimbabwe. So this morning, Sophie Mukwege, another SAPC journalist, was asking Honorable Kasukwere to say, are you running for presidential candidate? And they responded, said, Sophie, good morning. The call has been made, and yes, I'm making a formal statement on my candidature soon. Thank you for asking. Interesting times ahead as we go to the polls. Surprise candidates will be popping in, and also what are you looking forward to see? The obvious has been a talk about Mthuli Ncube and Dr. Coop and Council Park. Yes. That talk around that. There's been talk around the mayor of Bulawayo, Constantine Dolby Coltart, Deputy Mayor Tumzani Nkomo. There's been talk around that, rumors around that. What do you want to hear around that as we go to the elections?
Yeah, please do request the mic, guys. We want to hear from you. What are your views on what has been happening on the CCC caucus meetings? Any updates, especially to those who were actually physically there? Please do request the mic. We want to hear from you what you saw, what happened, and did it meet your expectations, maybe? Yeah.
Yeah, so I see people asking to be speakers there this morning. Let me just take a few speakers this morning to hear from them what's happening in their area and their locality, and what do they expect to see come the day of nomination court. Nomination court is on the 21st of June. Yeah. So what do they expect to see in terms of the candidate selection process for Triple C? ZANU-PF has already done these primaries. So over the past weekends, there was the caucus meetings for Triple C, and people went there to meet. And then I saw an audio circulating about Arnold Batarai. I think a certain council right now, I hear buzz, people were drunk there, people were making noise about that. So people were speaking about the issue, the language issue. You can't let umuntu who come a different language to come and become a council in Bulawayo. So that thing, remember 2018, issue of Kambarami was a talk of the town in Bulawayo. But now again, you're seeing another imposition of candidates. This this guy, the Arnold Batarai guy, but going there, caucus meeting drunk, and other candidates with other members. So I want to hear from you guys around that. I see Bashona. Good morning, Bashona. Welcome to This Morning on Asake.
Good morning, Brighton. How are you doing?
I'm very well, sir. Please do go ahead with your contribution this morning.
Yeah, thanks. I wanted to, if you don't mind, to just quickly to make a comment on the headlines that you've just read about the issue of truckers threatening to close the port of entry and so forth. I don't know if you can allow me.
Yeah, please do go ahead with your contribution.
Thank you. So I don't know where this truckers group thinks they can just wake up and try to, to think that they can divide Zimbabwe, or whoever is giving them that kind of ideology. I think that person is misleading them. I think they should go back into the history, and then they start to realize where was these Mtwakas, or the so-called Mtwakas. They need to go back into history and rethink. If they have got this kind of mentality that they can divide Zimbabwe, they're dreaming. Zimbabwe will not be divided. Zimbabwe was divided long ago. And we are now busy uniting Zimbabwe and other parts of Africa. So for one to dream that can wake up and close our ports of entry because of there's allegations of someone whom they don't have facts, I don't think. I'm sure they are playing with fire, and they are playing with mud without water to wash those, mess they are trying to create. They need to rethink, and we are not going to sit down and idly, thinking that we can allow someone to try and divide Zimbabwe. If they want to do that, they have to think otherwise. If they want to be part and parcel of Zimbabwe, they have to behave like Zimbabweans. If they don't want to be part and parcel of Zimbabwe, they need to revisit their history. That is my comment for now. But when it comes to the topic of the day, Brighton, for CC, you know what? Truth to be told is just say C for chaos, C for Chamisa, and C for Chete Chete. So it's chaos, Chamisa, Chete Chete. There's nothing that, honestly, I can comment really on that, because there's nothing that we're expecting. For the past 23 years, they failed to bring change in the cities, in the towns. So for us, we are now concentrating of now regaining those cities and towns, so that our people in the city and towns together can start to receive clean water, good roads, good refuse collection. People need fresh air and better environment. Because the cities right now, there's nothing that we can talk about opposition in Zimbabwe, honestly. Yes, Kasukwere, I saw that tweet. Kasukwere unongokungurukawo zvake kuSouth Africa. So for one kuti ungateri kutanzi Kasukwere unoda kutanzira kuita MP, ada kuita president, iye achingokunguruka akatadza kuita president ari muZimbabwe. Ameno vari ngoita ngomutero, but as it is right now, the game is with the SANPF. SANPF has got it in the bag. And see you, Brighton. I believe end of August we'll be having the inauguration in Papa Fields Stadium this time around. Last time we had in National Sports Stadium. This time we have in Papa Fields Stadium, where our people will celebrate and enjoy the president of Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa. So this is where we are now, Brighton. And I want the people of Zimbabwe to just calm down, be peaceful as we approach these elections. Be peace-loving Zimbabwe. If you see anyone provokes or try to cause violence, please, you have got your constitutional right to make a citizen arrest. Take that person to the next police station. We don't want violence in Zimbabwe. We want peace during and after elections. Thank you so much, Brighton. This is my 2 cents for you, and I hope you enjoy the space.
Thank you so much, Bashona. Well, that was Bashona and what he thinks about what we have talked about so far. Thank you so much for calling for peace, Bashona. We are really hoping for a peaceful election. Otherwise, let's move on to Ndabazezwe. Good morning, Ndabazezwe. What's your contribution this morning?
Good morning, my sister. Hello, everyone on space. Actually, I grabbed the mic to respond to Baba Shona. I really don't know where we are going with our conversation, but I would like to react to what he said. The problem with the ZANU-PF in particular is to belittle other opposition parties as if they have the template for doing things right. It's wrong for him to just blame Mtwagazi without investigating their concerns. I don't support secession per se, but simply because of marginalization that has taken place since 1980 to this date, Mtwagazi people feel obliged to be on their own because there is no development, there is nepotism. You can name all things you can imagine. They are meted on Mtwagazi people. We are all Zimbabweans. We need to share the cake just as good as everyone else. As we speak, land is being sold in Matebeleland. not to foreign investors. It is sold to Zimbabweans, those who are closer to the ruling elite. People are being ejected from the farms that they were given. That's a fact. It's not propaganda. So where do you think Mtokazi people will go if their land is being taken that way? Again, on the comments on CCC, if CCC was that, ZANU-PF wouldn't be on overdrive to destroy everything that can make our elections free and fair. As we speak, they've got this fuzz type of animal that is interfering with ZEC, and ZEC is not taking any action. They used their primary election registers to feed the names into ZEC's servers, deleting potential voters, particularly in urban areas, because they know that CCC is strong in urban areas. If it's weak, why are you doing such sinister things? You preach peace, which is very applaudable, but you are like a car that is indicating right while it is turning left. Practice what you say. Will take you serious, and respect diversity. Don't pass draconian laws, because it's like when we say the president is a thief or is a rapist, we are arrested for that. But we have Susan Mutami, who came who told the world that she was raped by the president. We saw the gold mafia, which attest that there is massive thieving in the country. But when we say that, we are now arrested because we are considered unpatriotic. I don't know if patriotism means doing bad things to your own people. If all we are to have free and fair elections, let ZEC be independent. We have Mthuli Ncube campaigning in Country Park. Who on earth will vote a homeless finance minister because he doesn't have a house? He lives in Mickle's Hotel. Where does he get the money to drill balls and mount Wi-Fi's across Country Park? Why can't he buy his own house if he's a prudent finance minister who wishes good for the country? If we question that, we are labeled unpatriotic. Let's be serious. Don't undermine other political parties. If we are useless, why do you follow us wherever we go? It shows that we are a game in town.
Allow me to cut short with there. There are many speakers who want to speak this morning. So our topic for this morning, guys, are looking at the CCC caucus meetings updates, right? Wrapping on Saturday, right? Want to unpack that wherever you were, what happened during this caucus meetings. I hear that in other areas, but right, past people did this and all these things. So I want to hear from you guys what happened in your area of where you are in terms of the CCC candidate caucus meetings that happened over there. So I see another speaker there, Golden Decoy. I want to speak. Golden Decoy, please do go ahead with the contribution this morning.
Thank you so much, host. Good morning, all. My contribution is very, very simple and very brief. I'm from Mash East. The caucus meetings went very well. We didn't witness any shenanigans or any violence. I mean, this is second-hand information that I'm getting from the ground. I don't know what's happening in other constituencies, but as far as CCC is concerned, yeah, the caucus meetings have gone particularly well. And then the second thing that I wanted to mention, that was mentioned by the first speaker with regards to Ntwakazi Republic People's Party. These are Zimbabwean citizens. They have every right to every right that is actually captured in our constitution to have such kind of sentiments. Many countries world over, you have people who want to cede from from their countries, from their own countries, and that kind of thing. But we got to understand the root of the problem. The root of the problem has been ZANU PF creating such an environment whereby people feel marginalized, whereby people feel that certain regions are being dominated by a particular tribe, taking away job opportunities. And as a result, you have such kind of things. And I think they have every right whatsoever. I know that Zimbabwe is a unitary state, but even though it's a unitary state, everybody, everybody is protected in terms of their rights, in terms of their political aspirations, in terms of their ideas. They are protected by the constitution because Zimbabwe is a democracy. That's my contribution. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Golden, for that contribution this morning. We'll move on to Begi. Good morning, Begi. What's your contribution this morning towards this topic today?
Morning. Thank you, guys. I think it's a very important point of which I thought maybe in the first place we could have in this meeting maybe invited maybe one of the guys, especially like in Bulawayo, where there seems to be a lot of issues. Maybe we could have invited the vice spokesperson for CCC, Ostalos, if he was there was an opportunity to clarify some of the issues. I was not present in any of the caucus meetings, but I did get a bit of feedback from other people, and also you read it from the news. I noted that there were prominent individuals who were dropped out from the list, of which I can see some other newspapers were screaming that it's a crisis and all that kind of stuff, that they confusion and all that. But I believe that maybe from my own understanding, from what I've got, is that some of those people who were left out, especially in Bulawayo, is those kind of people who were not clear. You know, when there was a division between Monzora, there were people who were not clear on their position, and for all these years, I mean, from the time this breakout happened and all that, they were not clear, and some of them maybe they were also clear here and there that they were with the Monzora. So when this vetting came in, they were vetted out, and some people see it as a crisis. But again, from what I've heard, one conversation that I had with Ostalos speaking was that those who have challenges, they've been given an opportunity to lodge their complaints and on how the process happened, and how those things can be corrected if there were any problems in the process. I also want to go back to the first speaker, just to highlight Tuguti Ubashon. I have a problem with people who think that they own Zimbabwe and they are the voice for everyone. And when they come, you can hear from the language, it's threatening, it's sending shivers down our spines, trying to make people feel uncomfortable. Like what my previous speaker said, every Zimbabwean has a right to say, I want my own space. And everything can go through a referendum. No one needs to threaten anybody. We are a nation. I mean, our problem is that as Zimbabweans have been used to violence and forcing other people to do things according to our way through force. This should come to an end. Let's allow people to exercise what they want. And I don't think there's anything wrong with what Mtwakazi has said, that they want to close the borders in trying to deal with these gold mafias and all that kind of stuff. In South Africa, they are Tudulas. There's a Tudula group going around to say we are tired of illegal immigrants, and the government does not do anything because you cannot stop a certain group of people as long as they're not violent and doing other things in the wrong way. Because you may want to just correct your space and say, we want our space to move in that way. And I'm saying as Zimbabwe, let us unite as we go through these process of elections. No violence, let's have peace. Let us not undermine other people. Let's allow. I mean, I don't understand why ZANU-PF always wants to undermine CCC. They know it's a threat. They know that it has controlled urban areas. And the sad part is Bashona comes here and tells us that CCC has run down urban areas. Yet ZANU-PF runs rural areas. They have run down those rural areas. I come from Kaimina. That road is dilapidated for more than 23 years. That road is something else. They've destroyed even its infrastructure in rural areas. So you cannot come here and tell us that you're going to improve urban areas when you have failed to improve where you are. How many times or towns have you developed in rural areas ever since ZPF came into power? Nothing. So we need this progressive politics that is going to unite the people of Zimbabwe, and we look at each other as equal citizens. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ibeke, for raising that contribution this morning. Guys, if you're just joining us, we're talking about the CCC caucus meetings updates, and I hear that in Bulawayo there was some chaos in other areas, and also candidates met and stakeholders met to discuss that list of candidates, and those that qualified were here to get information from the CCC information department. But we tried to send the link to Ostelos to hear from him what happened in Bulawayo, but unfortunately he hasn't responded to our request. Tsepang, I see you're just joining us there. Some people are reacting to the news headline that just read. So we allow people to react peacefully without even insulting each other. So, please do go ahead with your contribution this morning.
Okay, thank you, Brighton and Nonsense. Am I audible?
Yes, you are very clear, sir. Please do go ahead with the contribution this morning.
Thank you. Yes. So, unlike others who are saying this information is third party, I attended the citizens' caucus meetings. It was quite interesting, really, observing what's going on and all. First things first that I want to point out is that I'm often disappointed by the conduct of incumbent politicians and aspiring politicians or aspiring candidates for public office. They have total disregard for people's time, you know. Even when the nomination process was being undertaken, I remember, on the 5th of April, some designated centers started proceedings 2 hours later, 3 hours later, and you sit back and wonder, but these people had enough time to prepare. What then stops them from doing things on time? We usually even see the same when it comes to ZANU-PF rallies. People are told to gather at this time. You'll be addressed only for somebody to come at his or her own time, only to get into a tent whilst the crowd is being scorched by the sun. But in this case, it's better because it was being done and in community halls. One thing that I noticed, we really have a long way to go in as far as crafting sound manifestos. For me, it was way, way beyond standard, to be honest. You find that issues that are related to council are being deliberated as well by aspiring members of parliament. There is no clear demarcation of what is expected from an MP and what is expected from a councillor, and the two must stick to their mandate. So for me, really, when it comes to crafting manifestos, when it comes to public speaking, when it comes to articulating issues, honestly, I would score them anything below 5, to be honest. And then we have this chaos that happened. Yes, the chaos happened even in my area. I don't know whether that thing was orchestrated or what, because in my view, it seems like the councillor didn't know that he was disqualified. So he stood up, started speaking on top of his voice, claiming that he wants all his money. I don't know whether he invested in the party, because he was saying, I want all my monies that I've invested, blah, blah, blah. Then when he went out with a sizable number of people, really. And from what I gathered, in Bulawayo, there is a program to clear our communities. When I say clear, I mean, to do with rubbish and all. So these people are employed from time to time. It's a program under council. And you find the councillor employing the same people or renewing their contracts when in actual fact that thing is meant to ensure that at least each and every person within the community benefits, especially if we've got maybe people from child-headed families, or if we've got widows, they should benefit. So the people that went out with the councillor are those people that have been benefiting. So the proceedings had to wait a bit, due to the chaos, but we then continued and everything sailed out smoothly. So that's what I think in terms of crisis management. CCC didn't manage the crisis because if the party knew that by disqualifying certain candidates that had expressed their interest to run, definitely there was going to be conflict and there was need for crisis management, or there was need to plan ahead in the event such a crisis occurs. But over and above, I believe the process went well. Thank you, Director.
Thank you so much, Zepang. Before I let you go, Zepang, just make a follow-up question to you, Zepang. Just two questions. Were you happy, without mentioning names of candidates, right? Were you happy with the councillors, councillors that were proposed to be the one representing the CCC? Were you happy with the MPs, proposed MPs? And also, were you happy with the issue of speak of time management? Were you happy about those things, Zepang? Also, was there inclusivity in terms of the youth, young women attending those meetings? Were you?
And I think the problem at times is not the party, Brighton. The problem is us, the people. And remember that these candidates were chosen by the people during the nomination process. In my heart, I think sitting next to a very old man who told me that he's aspiring to be a councillor. I think he was in his early 60s to mid 60s. Then you wonder and say that you've seen it all, you've been doing your part. Where are the young people? I think at times we as young people are also not forthcoming. So now when it came to the councillorship position, for me there was no competitiveness and edge to it. Well, for members of parliament, it was quite interesting. The only certain parties I highlighted earlier is that our MPs were promising people things that are done by councillors. That was my greatest disappointment. Majority of them, they were promising people things that are done by councillors. We had one one incumbent MP who wants to run for the second term. The things that she was saying have assisted in ensuring that orphans get their school fees paid, have been running around. We want you to articulate issues of policy so that government is given its responsibility. Because you can't have individuals always chipping in where government is responsible. So you then understand that clearly there is a gap when it comes to issues of policy. Because policies are the ones that will ensure that government is put to task. Because government is really sleeping around. And we have MPs now who come in and want to do these minor things. They're okay as a stopgap measure. But you can't doing them for 10 years. So, yeah, Brighton, in terms of participation, yeah, a sizable number of young people were there. And I think I was the only person with a disability. I didn't see any other person. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tsepang, for that update. Quite interesting what happened in your area there. But yeah, we also want to hear from you guys as well. Please do request the mic. We want to hear what happened in your area as well.
For me, what Zepang was raising there, the issue of what the councillor was sitting there who stood up and said, "No, I've been serving for the past years, and also I've been funding this party for the past years." I wanted to ask Zepang on the issue of what is some of the grievances raised by the councillor. But yeah, we're going to go back to Zepang. There's more speakers. I see just joined by Jabulo there. Jabulo, good morning. Say welcome to this morning, Nasaki.
Good morning, Brighton. Good morning, Non-Santa. I've just been, because I'm not in Zim, so I was following through social media and through some of the people that I know to just find out what is really happening on the ground. But as for me, what I will say is I'm very happy with the process that Triple C took in terms of the way they approached from the whole candidate selection process, even up to now when these meetings where they were going to declare their candidates or bringing the candidates to the people. It was quite a lovely process. Though a process will always have its up and downs in the process there, where you find out that some people were not there. For instance, when they were doing the candidate nomination, some of the guys, because they didn't want to be found out that they are Triple C supporters. They stuck with Monzora and they didn't want to come out or to be nominated under Triple C. So now, because they've seen that elections came back and they felt like they were being left out, the councillors that were there, they started accusing Triple C of leaving them out, yet they were not very clear on when the nominations were taking place. So I feel there is still room for improvement, especially in the process. And maybe once we have a membership system, maybe that will be there in years or after the election, since Triple C is still a very young party. It's still trying to build itself up and systems and set up systems. Maybe we're going to be able to deal with some of the issues that people have had raised, especially in these Lokuzen, in these caucus meetings. And you come again that some people are saying no, prominent guys were left out. Triple C doesn't have prominent people, Brighton. Triple C is it's a 1 year old party that started last year, and I think the leadership of Nelson Chamisa, what he's trying to do, it is to bring a new face to the political field and through Triple C, because we if people, for instance, have been complaining that urban areas things have not been done, why should Triple C bring back the very same people that have been running those councils and not performing on behalf of their people? Why should they bring them through Triple C ticket at the end of the day? So to me, I find the process was very fair. And those that felt it was not fair because they've been in those political positions for long, why were they in those political positions for long when they were not doing anything progressive in those areas? This is why we have the likes of Babashona coming up and say, no, we have had urban areas as MDC for the 23 years. Yes, we have had. This is why Triple C is changing and introducing new people so that these people can push in, or we have people that will be willing to push in and put people being the center of everything, like what Triple C stands for. When we say it's citizen driven, we want people that are going to listen and do what the citizens want at the end of the day, because they came from the people, they were nominated by the people. So they are going to have people at heart at the end of the day. So I feel that the process that CCC has undertaken, to me, I'm not really complaining, and I'm very much appreciative with all the way that everything has been handled up to this far. And I'm very hopeful that there won't be any candidate buying or any imposition of candidates, even when we go to the nomination court. Those that have been chosen by the people should be the candidates that are going to stand for the people that chose them. And we hope it's going to get rid. Remember, we had in the previous elections in 2018, when it was still MDC, we had double candidature, which made Triple C, which made MDC to lose some of its seats in certain areas which it could have won. But this time, we hope this whole thing, it has eradicated all these double candidature and stuff like that, so that there is focus, there is clarity when we go to the election. So I'm very grateful. And also to answer one of the last thing that I felt was raised here in this platform. I feel, when we come here and debate political views, Brighton, let's debate them as equal Zimbabweans. All of us are Zimbabweans here. There is no there is no lesser Zimbabwean or a half citizen of Zimbabwe or a better citizen of all of us are equal Zimbabweans, and all of us, our political views matter. Either for some of us we feel we can be Umtwagas, some of us we feel we can be ZANU PF. It's still okay at the end of the day, because Zimbabwe constitution allows Umtwagas to be Umtwagas. In the constitution of Zimbabwe, it's there. They have the right to self-determination. They have the right of association. They want to associate with themselves, not with ZANU-PF or with people from Mashonaland. They have that right. It's in the constitution. So you cannot force them to do things the way ZANU-PF wants. If everyone does everything the way ZANU-PF wants, all of us, let's just join ZANU-PF, because our opinions are no longer valid, or our opinions no longer matter. Everyone has to act and behave like ZANU-PF. So I feel it's very unfair to come and speak down on other people's opinions and invalidate their pain. And ZANU-PF should be celebrating that you have a political party that's saying we are going to close down so that to deal with gold mafias. He should be excited that these guys are trying to keep down on corruption and on minerals that are being struggled. Unless if Babashona's minerals are also going to be claimed down, maybe this is what is agitating him at the end of the day. Because if people are dealing with criminality, guys, I thought the whole of Zimbabwe will rise up and support such initiatives. Because if we are dealing with criminality, it's best for the whole country. Thank you, Brighton.
Thank you so much, Jabulo, for raising that. Yeah, that comes through after we read the news headlines, right? I remember the story that I spoke about them, Togazi trying to block all her ports of entry around the issue of the gold mafia and so on. So people are reacting to that story that we read during the news headlines item there. Also, mentioned that on June is going to be an interesting day, right? I spoke about Seba Kasukwere wanting to explain his candidature for election. So I saw a tweet earlier on, I was saying what I was just responding to Sophie Mukwena, the CCC journalist, saying, Sophie Mukwena, good morning. The call has been met, and yes, I'll be making a formal statement on my candidature. Thank you for asking the Seba Kasukwere. They're responding to Sophie Mukwena around the issue of candidature. Is he running for president? So I'm going to wait for that statement there. And also, nomination court day is going to be an interesting one to see what is going to happen there. I see you have another speaker joining us there. Is it Mukandi Musa? Please do go ahead, Mukandi Musa, with your contribution this morning. Mukandi Musa, can you go ahead with your contribution? Right, we seem not to be getting him there. Let's go to Finals. Finals, good morning this morning.
Hi guys, good morning. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Finals.
I just want to make sure that you guys can hear me. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Thanks for the space. Where I'll start is I will need to thank the previous speakers, all of them, apart from Babashona. Okay, thanks. I need to thank the previous speakers apart from Babashona because I think his language was bordering threats, and I don't think there's any justification for vilifying the Mtwagazi people. That's muzzling people and gagging people, and I don't think it's the language that we need to use, to fellow Zimbabweans. And these threats are consistent with language. If you look through your timeline right now, Brighton in Unshanta, on this page, you see that they have come in numbers when he was presenting, and now they've all left. That tells you a lot. There are people we call gaslighters, people that just come and gaslight us exactly to distort the subject of the day, because we are talking about Triple C. Anyway, I also need to thank Tsepo, is it Tsepang or Tsepo? Tsepo, for your contribution, for giving us a live update on what happened during the caucus. And I concur with you when it comes to police articulation. We are just a few days away from elections, and I suppose most of us are waiting to hear from the party Triple C, them articulating whether through their councils or through the members of parliament exactly what is it that we're voting for. So I think it's also time Triple C as a party themselves. They also need to start coming out. When we say Triple C as a party, we don't expect Ostalos, if it's busy, it's busy. But obviously, Triple C is not Ostalos alone, or Mahere, or Chamisa alone. They've got a lot of aspiring MPs. I think that it's time they sanction them to come on spaces like this and use social media to their advantage. Whether it's a space run by citizens, what do they call it? There's one citizen, the one that does the fundraising, call to act. Even if they bring one candidate there to articulate, it's okay, because people have got questions. People are sponsoring people from the diaspora. They need to know where their money is going, and how they're going to vote. So it is important also for Triple C as a party. I'm not a pseudo advisor for Triple C, but what I'm just saying, it's also important they come out and articulate, and relatability is very important. So I hope they will be able to start that process within the next coming few days, so that we can relate with their candidates as we go along. And the last part would be the issue of Tyson Wabantu. I heard Babashona saying Tyson Arungovukura. I don't think it's prudent for any Zimbabwean to, say such things. It looks like we're centering Babashona, but it's just in response to what he said. Every Zimbabwean has got a democratic right to run for office. Even if Finance decides he wanted to, if I had the propensity, if I had the desire, I would probably run as an independent. But the issue remains, every Zimbabwean has got the democratic right to run for office. So let Tyson Wabantu run, and whatever the outcome will come out, we do not care. What we care about is a better Zimbabwe for everyone, but the Zimbabwe that is very democratic rather than this gagging, muzzling, and threatening people. And I don't know why ZANU-PF thinks they are the sole owners of Zimbabwe. Our mothers were raped during the liberation struggle. And today, it looks like ZANU-PF, they rule with impunity under the assumption that they are the only ones that fought for liberation war. They are not. Even the people of Madepele land were involved. So why do you want to marginalize these people? Anyway, I'll stop there. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Finals, for that contribution this morning. Let's go to Mnamato. I hope, Mnamato, you managed to attend one of these caucus meetings that were there over the weekend. Good morning, Mnamato. What's your contribution this morning?
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Brighton. Good morning, Grootman Zenzile, and also good morning, Grootman Byron. Well, firstly, I did manage to attend, but it was virtual. I've got one of a very close person to me who's actually what you call an NP for the said political party. Let me just concur with Utsapang. It's really interesting to note how people at times don't value people, especially on the aspect of time. Uti, you come in and especially if you're doing a meeting virtually and it's under a special request, then you find Uti in whatever you are trying to bring about. So for me, that the thing that I actually noted from it was a small 30-minute that I actually did had a conversation just to observe and see what's happening. Unfortunately, I'm not in Zimbabwe as well, so it was a bit difficult to attend physically. But from the notion of things, Ugutikona, you find that people don't really take things seriously in terms of people's time. And time is really one of the things that us as Zimbabweans have to really, really mature on, because time shows Uguti either you value something or you don't value something. With that being said, I just want to air out one of a saying that I really, really uphold, which says, Uguti, if the foundations are destroyed, what can the righteous do? And I'm sure that most of the people that have come to the space on site have got this desire to make a better community, not just Zimbabwe, but better communities where we come from, Bonkulumane, Culture Park, Geta, and those of other spaces and stuff. So really, it's one of the things that we have to look at. And I really want to strongly agree with Umtwagazi. I grew up in Bulawayo myself, born and raised in Bulawayo, Kuala Lumpur and stuff. And I really, really, I, for one, I'm a person that will really say, you know what, if Mtwagazi wants to do this, I will use all my resources to fund them to go ahead with all the thing and not be really threatened by people that have got a lack of understanding of the status quo, of a lack of understanding of really what we need to do in terms of the futuristic of our country. So really, what I'm really saying is, at the end of the day, we have to really consider about our future and think about what are we really building into, and looking at some of the meetings that like with the CCC and all the other political parties. And interestingly enough, I've got 4 people that are close to me. One is in ZANU-PF. Well, most of the people are in ZANU-PF. One is in CCC, one is in MDC, and the other one is in DUZ. And hearing their conversations around which exactly what are we building towards, it's a very interesting thing to look at and saying, okay, who am I vying for? Who can I put my money to that can be able to say, okay, is paving way for me as a social entrepreneur to bring about change and to bring about skills change that can be able to benefit the whole community and stuff. So really, we have to go back. I'm sorry to bring about the first speaker, but we have to go back and really process our minds, process our things. I think maybe that guy was saying what he was saying because he's looking for some sort of 30-minute fame on Twitter or whatever the case might be. But honestly, this is me and my pennies for my senses and stuff. But yeah, thank you so much, Brighton. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you, everyone.
Thanks so much, Mnamato, for that contribution this morning. I see you just joined by Dobbs. Dobbs, good morning. Welcome to This Morning on Asake. Dobbs, are you there? All right, I assume we can't get out of Dobbs there. But what was Tsepang raising there? Very important and very imperative. Yeah, Dobbs, please do go ahead.
Yeah, many things. I think what is happening, ZANU-PF is just exposing itself. I think they've made a mistake by using the so-called Varakash because they are out of touch with the ZANU-PF programs and they just support everything. They don't want to hear any evil, even though everything affects us. They can't even give their party direction to take. Now, ZANU-PF is just destroying itself. It's going by promising people to say the RTGS will remain. I don't think anybody who lives in Zimbabwe would agree that the RTGS will remain. As for Tyson, it's just a name to say this. They call him Tyson Wevantu. That person is not pro-people. It's very destructive. His hands have got blood. 2008, he was involved. He was even involved before 2008, even 2002, when he was still employed at Chaminuka House. As a CEO, we know how he get rich. We know how he was involved, and he looted a lot as well. He was involved in looting, so he's not pro people that he guy. And the so-called community development or community share trust, which he was just singing, the money disappeared, and no longer it cannot be traced. That is why we see people in Marange, they are not benefiting from their diamonds. But a trust fund was set before, and it disappeared under Tyson. So for us to come and talk about Tyson, we have to just throw him. Once he registers, we will expose him and throw him into the political dustbin. As for Warakashi, we can't waste the time. But as for CC, the way how they nominated their candidates was very satisfactory because the nomination was coming from the people. And the majority of the people who get nominated were just coming from the community, not coming from those who are affiliated to CC or those who were supporting CC. And they were very straight to say they don't want civil servants, they don't want those traditional leaders. They stick to the constitution to say those who mustn't be involved in our politics, that they mustn't be their own candidate. That is one thing which I loved. And I was equally affected, though I did not have a political ambition. So I did love, and their vetting process, which went through thorough and thorough. Everything which they did was perfect, and it surprised anybody. And what they are doing currently is even very strategic because ZANU-PF always wanted to have dirty tactics. That is why they wanted to know who are the candidates, and they can't find to say who are those who were finally nominated. They can't find them all together. Some they are just suspecting because we only call them nominated candidate. We are not saying he is the one who is representing us. Yet the party itself knows actually who is going to represent the party, which is good because ZANU-PF is just running around and they can't apply their dirty taxes the way how they want to do it. I don't have much to do, but they still need to come. Once they register their candidate, they still need to come to the people and present what they are going to present and how are they going to do their own programs as individually and collectively so that they can just deliver that final punch to force everybody to come to the CC camp. We know a lot of ZANU-PF are willing to vote for CC because the situation on the ground, what everybody is saying, is not sustainable. You can't live in Zimbabwe while you get paid with RTGS and everything is sold in United States dollars, and our government is not clear in terms of that policy, whether we are going to continue using the United States because dollar, because one day is saying so, the next day is saying no, the RTGS is here to stay. We are going to ban the use of foreign currency. And I don't think there will be any business in Zimbabwe if the foreign currency is banned. Even those who say they are going to ban, those are the people who are selling us their fuel in foreign currency throughout the year. They don't even give any percentage of fuel. This percentage of fuel will be sold in RTGS. They don't want. So we are failing to even understand the policy. The government is full of policies inconsistent, which must be dealt with. And the only way to deal with government inconsistent is to get rid of it and replace it. That is the solution. We can no longer coach it what to do now because it has become. We have come to a conclusion where we say we can't force a horse to drink water. So we have failed. We can't force it. The only way is to get rid of something else. Thanks a lot, everybody. Get your mic, host.
Thanks so much, Dobbs, for that contribution. Well, we've come to the end of the show this morning, but I'm hoping this week we're going to reach out to the CCC Communications Department and you have Ostalos or you have Fatsai on the space to hear from them in terms of their preparedness for the elections as well as for the nomination court and also for this list of candidates that were waiting with Amehlabomv as our citizens and also as electorates. So, what happened to the issue of the voters' roll?
Hey, Brighton. For me, I didn't get my name, as you know, on the voters' roll for the inspection. Went to ZEC. It was just chaos. I couldn't re-register. So, yeah. And surprisingly, I still have a question because when I was going around in Popoma looking for my name, one of the ZEC guys he said to me, no, don't worry, check again the system, check again on the *265 hash. After 2 weeks, your name will be there. I'm still confused by that, but yeah. It was one hell of an exercise, but
yeah, well, my name is there online and offline. I went to check my name with Umzali as well. So I tried to propose those around me to go and check their names, and when they check their names, and fortunately their names are there, so they're going to be casting their votes. So for me, I'm waiting for the rallies, for the manifestos, for the nomination court to sit. I'm going to give you live updates for as that happens in Bulawayo and parts of Matebeleland with what's happening there. The nomination court day and years by 21st of June, nomination court sits. We're going to hear the names of is either not contesting or Brighton contesting. So we're going to hear there around the nomination court here. From myself, Brighton Ngube, it's been loving out with you this morning, guys. I have a good and a pleasant day.
Yeah, and from Nanhlanhla Mapigwa as well, it's bye for now, guys.